So if I was to approach this in the chord progression, maybe it'll be... Here it is right there. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Chord Crush Thursdays, where every week we get into a new chord or chord progression that's going to help you to expand your chord vocabulary and hopefully take your playing to another level. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell, that way you don't miss out on none of the new videos that we do. And also, please do us a favor, if you like our content, hit the like button. That's absolutely free for you, but it actually helps us to grow and it helps other people to see our video. So make sure you hit the like button. Let's get started. We're going to be in the key of A major. Now, in the last video, I asked you guys what key do you think I should do next, because we did a lot of chords and progressions in the key of B flat. A lot of people said do a white key. Some people said some of the black keys. So I'm doing the key of A major for this video. I'm thinking about staying in the key of A for a little bit. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you want to learn in the key of A major? Do you think A is a hard key to play in? There's a lot of different perspectives when it comes down to musicians, and some people like the white keys, some people like the black keys. Let me know, because I want to help you guys. And also, I just want to let you know there's no such thing as a hard key to play in. So we're going to get that out the way right now. A is not a hard key to play in. Sometimes the fingering can be complicated, but you just got to get more familiar with the chords and progressions, just like any other key. All right, so let's look at the scaling number system for key of A. So A is the 1, B is the 2, C sharp is our 3, D is the 4, E is the 5, F sharp is the 6, G sharp is the 7, and then we're back at the 1A. So what you're going to find is when it comes down to chords and progressions, the left hand dictates the actual progression. So if I say we're going to do what we call a 2-5, that would mean we're going to go from the B to the E, okay? And that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on a 2-5 chord progression. And typically, you would go from a 2 to the 5 to the 1. But you can do a lot of different things. You don't necessarily have to go to the 1. You can go from the 2 to the 5 to the 4. You can go from the 2 to the 5 to the 7. You can go from the 2 to the 5 to the 3. So, I mean, when it comes down to certain chord progressions, typically you have a certain destination that you're going to go to. But you can open up your mind and think of other things that you could do when it comes down to melody and harmony. And hopefully this lesson opens you up to different ideas. So what we're going to do is take a 2-5 chord progression, and we're going to alter the chords that you would typically play on the 2 going to the 5. So in the key of A major, normally, and many other keys, what you will find is that when you go from the 2 to the 5, you're going to go from a minor chord on the 2 and then a dominant chord on the 5. So in the key of A major, in the simplest form, this is a B minor chord. It's a minor 9 chord. I got B in the left hand, and I got D, F sharp, A, and C sharp, right? So this is a minor chord quality that happens on the 2. So when it comes down to any other key and you're thinking 2-5, this is very common that happens. When you're on the 2, you play some type of minor chord. It could be a minor 7 chord, it could be a minor 9 chord, it could be a minor 11 chord, but it all depends on what you're doing at the moment, whether you're playing a certain song or style or something like that. That's going to determine how you approach the chords and the voicings and the chord qualities. But then when you go to the 5, you're going to find yourself playing dominant chords. And this is not all the time, but a lot of times in certain styles of music, especially gospel music, you're going to find that the 5 chord is a dominant chord, or you're going to find that you're playing the 4 chord on the 5 a lot of times. In this case, we're playing an E13. This is a dominant 7 chord. We got E in the left hand, and then D, F sharp, G sharp, and C sharp. Okay, so pretty much we're taking this chord progression and just understanding that the way that we're approaching it is minor to dominant, but we're going to alter this even more. So remember, I said you can go from the 2 to the 5 to the 1. You can go from the 2 to the 5 to the 6. You can go from the 2 to the 5 to the 3. You pretty much could go to any tone of the scale if you can make it make sense with the melody. At this point, I'm just keeping a C sharp, the top note, okay? Okay? So I would practice trying to go different places instead of going to the 1 as your last chord, instead of going from the 2 to the 5 to the 1. Try to go somewhere besides the 1. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you. But I'm going to show you how to alter some of these chords on the 2 going to the 5. So now that you know that, we're going minor to dominant. So the chord voicings that I'm going to show you, going from the 2 to the 5, sound like this. Okay, so that's going from the 2, which is the B, to the 5, which is the E. And then from here, you can go to the 4. You can go to the, let's see. You can go to the 7. You can go many other places, but I want to show you these voicings first. So the first chord I'm going to show you, that's on the 2. The concept that I have behind this is that in my left hand, I'm deriving this voicing, B and A, from a B minor 7 chord. Okay, so when you're in any key, when you're on the 2, the voicing that I'm playing is an open voicing of a minor 7 chord, and that's what I'm thinking. So that's why I have B, D, F sharp, and A in my left hand. But what I end up doing is omitting the D and the F sharp. So I just have this, okay? And then when I go to the 5, which is the E, I'm basing this chord in my left hand off of a dominant 7 chord. So if we think about E as a dominant chord, then look at this. We got E7. We have D, E, G sharp, and B. This would be considered an E7 chord. But what I'm doing is I'm playing a shell of the chord. And a shell voicing is pretty much playing just the 3rd and flat 7th of this particular tone. And when you think about this, I'm relating the 3rd and flat 7th not to the key that we're in, but to the scale of the bass note. So the scale of E major is E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, and E, right? So the 3rd and flat 7th would be G sharp is the 3rd, and then the flat 7th would be D, the dominant 7, okay? It would be D. So you can play it like this, you can play it like this, but the 3rd and flat 7 still gives you that dominant 7 sound. So pretty much that's how you can look at it. So you can practice going from a B minor 7 to an E dominant 7, and that kind of will get you used to just seeing what's happening with the chords. And then once you get used to seeing that, then you can omit some notes, and then you can understand what the left hand is derived from a B minor 7 to an E dominant 7, okay? So that's the left hand. So we're going from B and A in the left hand to D and G sharp. So now let's tie this right hand together. And I did the left hand separately because I'm trying to give you a concept that you can apply to other keys as well. So think minor 7, get rid of, the middle notes and play just the root note and the dominant 7 for B. And then when you go to E, play a shell, which is pretty much a tritone for E, okay, which is D and G sharp, okay? So we got that. So now, for the right hand for the chord on the 2, what I'm playing is D, G sharp, C sharp, and E, okay? Now, I like to look at different shortcuts, and this is an altered chord. This is a B altered chord. So what I have is, if I were to pick this chord apart and try to identify, what's in this, well, we have what we call a C sharp minor chord right here. So a shortcut to find, the right hand chord or a part of the right hand chord in any key is to say, okay, what's my bass note? Well, this is step 1. Identify what the bass note is on the 2. The bass note is B. Okay, now step 2 would be ask yourself, what is a whole step up from this bass note? Well, a whole step up from B is C sharp. So take the right hand and play C sharp with your middle finger as the middle note. Now, you're gonna play a C sharp minor chord with C sharp in the middle, okay? So step 1, find the bass note. Step 2, find out what note is a whole step up from that bass note. In this case, it's C sharp. C sharp is a whole step up, meaning we're going to skip a bass note, and C sharp is a whole step up. So then the right hand is going to play that C sharp, and then we're going to build a C sharp minor chord with the C sharp in the middle. So that means we're going to play the second inversion of that particular minor chord. So we're going to play a C sharp minor chord in second inversion. Okay, so that's how you can think about it. Play the second inversion of the minor chord. Now, the lowest note of the chord is the only thing left to add at this point. And that tone is going to be a half step up from the middle note. So what's a half step up from C sharp? Is D. So you add the D down here, okay? And that's how we get this chord. So that's a shortcut. And those are step-by-step things that you could do to find this chord in any key. So step one, find a bass note. Step two, ask yourself, what is a whole step up from this bass note? In this case, it's C sharp, okay? So then you're gonna play that type of chord in second inversion. So a C sharp minor chord in second inversion. And then from there, you ask yourself, what is a half step up from C sharp? It's D. So then that would be the lowest note, okay? We could take this concept and apply it to another key, but I think we're running out of time. I try to make these videos really short, but I always end up running over. So this is the chord on the 2. So what we're gonna do is take this and then take the top note and drop it down to D. Like that, sorry. And then we're gonna go to the E with this dominant chord. We got D and G sharp in the left hand, and then D, F, and A sharp in the right. Okay? And then we're gonna take the A sharp and raise it. So it's like this, from the 2 to the 5. Okay? And this is an E dominant 7, and we also have the flat 9 in there too as well. So this is an E dominant 7 with a flat 9. But we start off with a flat 5 too as well. So we start off with an E dominant 7th with a flat 9 and a flat 5. And then we raise the top note, okay? And that pretty much omits the flat 5, okay? So from the 2 to the 5, and with this chord on the 5, we're actually not playing the bass note. We're playing D and G sharp in the left hand, and then D, F sharp, D, F, and A sharp in the right, and raise that. So from the 2 to the 5, and then from here, you can go anywhere. In this case, I went to the 4, and I'm playing D, A, and F sharp in the left hand, and then B, E, F sharp, A, and C sharp. Okay, you can do that. You can do this. That's another voicing that you can play. Instead of going to the 1, you can go to the 6. And I have F sharp, E, A, and B in the left hand. And then D sharp, G, and C sharp. Now, what I will say about the key of A that I have discovered, and it's not necessarily, it's hard or challenging to play in because of the chords are different, but it's actually sometimes when you're playing in other keys, the fingering can be a little bit more challenging, especially when you play certain chords on certain tones, like that chord I just showed you, because you have to play your fingers so spread out sometimes when you play voicings in other keys where it doesn't feel as stretched out or strained. So that's one thing I would say, but with practice and time, I want to encourage you that you can do anything. It's just a matter of just getting more and more familiar with the chords and voicing. So if you see me play some of these chords and you're saying to yourself, that's too hard, you're lying to yourself and you're already defeating yourself. So stay encouraged. Make sure you continue to push yourself and try to go to the next level by trying and trying and trying again, okay? So that's a voicing on the 6th tone. We got F sharp, E, A, and B in the left hand, and then D sharp, G sharp, and C sharp. So that's another tone that you can go to, from the 2 to the 5 to the 6. You can also go from the 2 to the 5 to the 7. And I have another voicing right here. We got G sharp, F sharp, and B in the left hand, and then D sharp, F sharp, A sharp and C sharp. And I'm saying sharps because we're in the key of A major. So that's one thing that makes this different too as well, is like when you're in certain keys, you're gonna say sharps versus flats, all right? So pretty much the idea of why I'm showing you this chord progression is because you can take these voicings and go many places, and the idea is to understand, you know, a different approach to the 2 to the 5, but then start to get into different voicings to go to different other tones. And like I said, when you go to the 2 to the 5, you can go to the 1, you can go from the 2 to the 5 to the 6, you can go from the 2 to the 5 to the 3, you can go from the 2 to the 5 to the 7, you know what I mean? You can pretty much go to every tone, okay, of the scale. So take these concepts and explore them. And this is something that you would do more so in like a reharmonization of something, or, you know, talk music when you're playing some chords and you want to go to a different voicing, but you kind of understand the approach is a 2-5. You know, these are just things to add to your arsenal when it comes down to the voicings of it. And even, you know, you don't necessarily even have to do a 2-5. This is another chord on a 2 that you can alter the minor chord. Like, because typically on a 2, you would play some type of minor chord voicing, but you can alter that. You can think about that as well. It doesn't have to just be a 2-5, but what are we doing? We're taking a 2 and altering that. So you can do a 3-6-2 and then go to this chord too as well. So have an open mind as far as what you can do. So if I was to approach this in the chord progression, maybe it'll be... There it is right there. So you can use this chord progression in a lot of different places. Like I said, you can use it to go from the 2 to the 5 to the 4. You can go from the 2 to the 5 to the 6, from the 2 to the 5 to the 3. You can go also from the 2 to the 5 to the 7. Okay? So there's many different places that you can use this chord progression. Hopefully you enjoyed this Chord Crush Thursdays. Thanks again for watching. God bless. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and like this video. And I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.